All right. So let's go ahead and just dive into it. One of the things that, every art of home ownership professional and things that you want to be keeping, in mind is, on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, social is such a powerful platform. Your audience, they live there. Your strategic partners are sharing their life stories and your clients are sharing just what's happening in their world. One of the big parts and our partners that we're seeing the most success, they've really incorporated video into, social, and how they're utilizing video to really share the value that is being delivered through the art of homeownership. One thing that we like to focus on and what we're really advising our partners to focus on is tell your story. Think of yourself as the guide, think of your clients and your audience as the hero. One of the big features and one of the big parts of this of this system is that you need to share. You need to remind people what you do. You need to remind your audience of the value that you're delivering through the art of home ownership. I think one of the biggest parts of this, of our platform is really how you deliver that value before, during, and after a transaction. But most importantly, from your perspective, it's how you communicate that message. It's how you share with your audience, the importance of a relocation technology and making the move into that new home a seamless one. It's how you talk about the Home Concierge platform and send reminders to make sure that your clients are taking advantage of that tool. I was recently working with one of our partners, Joe New, on a video, and the story that I was working with Joe on was, as a partner, and as a loan officer, he was trying to stress the value of an annual financial review. And he had a client that he performed an annual financial review for and was able to determine that, they were able to save some money and use some cash, pull some equity out and use that for some college tuition, for one of their students or for their child. And, this instance, this conversation was had through the annual financial review. And I think when you think of your strategies, your scripts, how you're talking about the product, you want to make sure that it's consistent. And social is just such a powerful tool for you to be able to share these stories. One thing you could see with Ryan, Ryan is on, he creates short video clips and he reminds people of, where the market's at, why it's valuable using these tools, how you can become an educated, homeowner. And when you think of, social, we wanted to be able to share some scripts with you guys. Here's an example of, a script that we're currently using. What Val is going to be sending out to everyone after this, training session today is a full list of scripts that you guys can take and plug and play to create these videos. But what I'm looking and what I want to see everyone take advantage of is talk about the Home Concierge platform, talk about relocation technology. When you're thinking of different pieces of content and videos that you could be delivering through social, just talk about the product, start with value and focus on the value you're delivering. Danny, in terms of strategy and thinking, best practices and how you would share this sort of content, any suggestions or any ideas on that?
Yeah, Zach, thank you. I actually want to zoom out just slightly here and talk about why this is important, right? I think it's pretty intuitive that we need to be delivering our value proposition, and social is a fantastic conduit to deliver that value proposition. However, I think it actually goes even deeper than that, in that you are now the brand, right? It's your brand that your customer is coming for. It's not the company you work for. And although art of homeownership is absolutely a powerful multiplier of your brand, art of homeownership isn't even the thing that people are showing up for. They're showing up for you. And the power of being able to authentically express your value proposition on social media really allows you to do, I think, that the most powerful thing with art of homeownership, which is create trust at scale. So when you're on social media and you're communicating the power of the art of homeownership commitment and the message, really what you're telling your customers is they can count on you and the brand that you've created for yourself for more than they thought a mortgage or real estate professional would be delivering to them. So you're elevating yourself above the fray, and you're setting the buying criteria for what you do for a living above the general population. And you're telling your clients, present, future clients, this is what it means this is where your expectation should be. Maybe it was down here before, but because of the constant messaging that you'll be delivering via social, your brand will, and that value proposition that Art of Homeownership allows you to deliver because of the power of the platform, the powers of the tools, the power of the tools within the platform, you then elevate your brand and the expectation that your client should be having of a financial services professional in the mortgage or real estate community. You're elevating it up so that they learn to expect nothing less than that. And then what you've done is you've changed the currency that's being traded, right? Instead of taking price or, getting, beat up over your real estate commission or your interest rate, you're translating the expectation to long-term value. And that story you told, Zach, about the annual financial review, right? Turning into a powerful story for that family, right? Where they went from having the expectation that this mortgage and real estate transaction was just about home ownership to learning that it was actually about legacy, right? It was about education. It was about being great parents, right? Things that are emotionally anchored. It's not just a financial issue. You move yourself away from this battleground that is price into one of value. And that's really the fundamental story of Art of Homeownership. Looks like Ryan jumped on for a second here. Ryan, you want to add anything to that?
I am on a plane right now, ready to take off. So I probably wouldn't be in the best place to do that, but I appreciate it.
Hey, yeah, no worries, dude. I just saw you pop on here and I didn't want to miss
I'm an interested partner.
Yeah, fantastic. Awesome. So sounds good, dude. Well, safe flight. Hope that goes well. So Zach, as far as strategy goes, that was the question, and I kind of deviated a little bit from it. The strategy here is to move from a process of business development that is, one-to-one, and move yourself into an environment where you can be communicating your value proposition to a wider audience, but done in a way where you're speaking to the customers that believe what you believe, right? So the customer that believes that value is more important. They believe that, sending their kid to college is more important than an eighth in interest rate, right? They have that same belief system as you. That's what the social media messaging that Art of Homeownership can magnify is intended to do for your business.
Yeah, and I think, Danny, you hit the nail on the head right there is emotions. Like, what's the emotional connection, and how can you help your clients and maximizing wealth through real estate, and maximizing opportunity through real estate. And I think being able to talk through and share these value-driven tactics with a wider audience is going to generate more opportunities. And the thing with social is you're not selling on social. Just focus on value, focus on educating, focus on helping others. And I think the more that you have the mindset of helping and adding value, that's where you're going to see these referrals. That's where you're going to see all of your clients, your realtor partners, really serving as sales representatives for your business, and spreading the word of the value system that you're building out. The next part that we want to spend some time talking about is how you're leveraging Art of Homeownership to grow your non-client database. Part of this, the concept here is what you're doing, and the way that you're using your marketing tactics is to solve problems. What we know is that the process of owning a home, and there's a lot of mortgage professionals or a lot of loan officers out there that are so transactional based, and what we really want to focus on is how you're delivering that sense of urgency, how you're delivering that sense of value, and in this world of competition. One of the things that we like to spend a lot of time on here is when you're going after this, and use social as an example, using Facebook, how you could target, geographic areas, you can target people based on interests. We want to spend time, when you're trying to add new individuals to this audience. One question I would ask is, when you create a post and push it out on your Facebook page and say, do you feel you're a successful homeowner? Do you know what steps it takes for you to become a successful homeowner? And create a sense of urgency. Like, people wonder, what does it mean to be a successful homeowner? When I think of, your non-client database, it's more of like, how can you deliver value to these individuals, and think about like the monthly wealth digest, knowing how much equity you have in real time, using the relocation technology and helping simplify the move. When you run a Facebook ad, you have a tenth of a second to capture someone's attention. So think of the creative, that you can utilize. We've been testing a lot of different ads here on Facebook and have found, video is what's getting us the highest conversion. Video where you have other people sharing success on the platform. You can have you do an interview with a financial advisor and you talk about the importance of preparing your, preparing your investment strategy and your retirement strategy. And you have a financial advisor talk about why it's important to work with a mortgage professional that understands how, to manage a transaction, 30 years plus, the close of that deal. I think when you're trying to build out and grow your non-client database is run lead gen campaigns on Facebook, run lead gen campaigns that target realtors. You've got this great platform, you've got this great system, and now that we're implementing more into daily AI and we have a lot of you guys whose LOSs are starting to connect there. One thing that I've been advising a lot of partners is you have a listing agent that comes into our world, and creating some content, creating a campaign that triggers the listing agent to, just provide awareness on how you're managing a transaction with the relocation technology and what the Home Concierge platform means to them. Like, one of the things I would advise all of our partners to do is when you have a new listing agent that you haven't worked with, send some communication out and ask them, hey, I've got this great Home Concierge platform that I provide all of my borrowers. I've found it to be a great value and would love for you to use it on your home. Think of, the more that you can spread and just, you go to people with, hey, let me help you, let me add value instead of let me come with my handout, you're going to create more engagement. Think of helping others and when you're creating lead gen campaigns on social, run a lead gen campaign targeting realtors that say, hey, I've got this great platform. I'm providing a free home concierge service that's going to help you manage your home and make the process of maintaining it much easier. Click learn more and I'll get you signed up for free so you can get an idea of what your clients can experience and how your clients will be managed throughout the lifetime. You really want to focus on using automation, using social. We're going to be doing a training next week and really the next 2 Wednesdays on daily AI, which I can't stress enough. Everyone needs to be on. We're going to talk, automation with going after listing agents and just being able to use the system to target, non-clients and grow that non-client database. But I think when you're on social, run Facebook lead gen ads, target an audience. Like a pro tip that I would use for everyone who is looking, say you want to target financial advisors, or you go after CPAs, trust attorneys, maybe you're looking for new realtor partners, go to Upwork and you could find a data entry specialist. You could spend $50, get 500 contacts, and you could take those 500, financial advisors, drop them into an audience on Facebook and just create videos and create, lead gen campaigns that you push in front of those individuals. But it's, the fact of the matter is everyone here, has their phone. I bet more than 95% of you guys have your phone right out in front of you. And that's where people are living on social. So you want to, when you're trying to grow your non-client database, think of where those eyeballs are at. Are they on LinkedIn? Are they on, Facebook? They're on Instagram. Like, where is that audience living? And then think of what's going to help them take action. So, good content, a free giveaway, a helpful guide, and you want to provide value. You want to provide a solution. And then through that, you can use daily AI and automated follow-up to drive meetings and drive opportunities and stay in front of them and share, what does that in process, system look like through the art of homeownership. That's when I'm thinking of growing your database, it's about, how you're targeting these different channels. And Danny, what are you thinking?
Yeah. So, all really well said. And team, I think, again, just to kind of slow it down a little bit here, I want to kind of go back to kind of what the purpose of these meetings on Wednesdays are, right? The purpose of these meetings is to give you the insights that are being used by others in the community to maximize the value of your Art of Homeownership partnership, your membership in the community, and really leverage it to its maximum potential for your business. And what that will look like, I mean, Zach just provided a half dozen just absolutely killer strategies for you to go on social and be very tactical in how you're kind of delivering your value. And so, all of this was recorded. There'll also be a recap. So, watch that, 3 minutes of Zach kind of communicating ways in which you can be on social and very tactically be communicating with your audience and generating opportunity. So first thing, in case it's not clear, non-client just means anybody that is not currently working with you, right? These are the future opportunities, people that are out in the world right now that they may not even be thinking about buying or selling real estate. And that's the point. The point is that in some cases they should be, and they just don't know any better. And what we're doing what this community is doing, right? The Art of Homeownership Partners is doing out in the world is changing the narrative around what it means to be a real estate related financial services professional. We're changing the narrative and we're claiming that frame of expectation so that clients can be served differently and better than they have been in the past, or they are being served by our competitors out in the marketplace. And what that translates to as it relates to what Zach's talking about is adopting a person into your Art of Homeownership platform when they're not actively working towards a real estate transaction today. It's a completely different mindset than lead generating for referrals, either real estate or mortgage referrals, where those people have already raised their hand and said, I'm ready to transact sometime in the next 12 months, right? Or I'm curious about, engaging in either a refinance or a purchase. What adopting a person into your Art of Homeownership database does is it changes you from being a transactional kind of a just-in-time partner into somebody that advises over a long period of time and then delivers value and potentially even activates more transactions for that family when it's appropriate for them to be engaging in real estate or finance activity. And if we think about this, right, in terms of what that means long-term for your business. So a well-executed Art of Homeownership partnership does a handful of things. One, it should allow you to generate leads more often or faster. And this strategy is a great example of that. If you go to somebody and say, look, it's okay if you're not looking to buy or sell real estate or engage in a refinance today, like that's not important to me. What's important to me is that you're educated, right? I'm changing my job description from that of a facilitator of mortgage or real estate transactions to one of an educator and advisor, somebody that promotes financial literacy so that you and your family can make great decisions. So now I'm going to come to you and say, look, I have this monthly real estate wealth digest. Really important for you to know, just like you would, look at your bank account every month to see what your family net worth or balance is. Shouldn't you know what your real estate balance sheet looks like and what your current, equity position is over time? Because maybe that information will inform decisions about how you're managing your family budget, or just to circle back to the story you introduced earlier, Zach, how you pay for college, right? Not knowing that information can lead to poor decision-making. As Art of Homeownership partners, all of us here in this community are committed to making sure that people know what their options are. And having the Real Estate Wealth Digest is a great example of that. Having the pre-sale renovation financing option can prevent a family from selling their home for less than they could, right? And the difference between 10, 20, 30, $50,000 stretched out over time or multiplied over time can be a very powerful number for a family. I mean, really right out of the gate, 15, 20, $50,000 is meaningful, let alone what it can mean for them as you compound your advice year over year by being that, strategic partner for them in the long term. So Art of Homeownership should allow you to get more clients. It should allow you to convert those clients faster, more often. And then it should allow your database to continuously engage with you over time, because you actually have a value proposition that really impacts their life, right? It solves a problem for them. It's not just and it's not a short-term problem. It solves their long-term problem. So one thing that we didn't say in the beginning here is that, that you can definitely use the chat for questions. We're throwing out a lot of information here. However, it's important for this to be a dynamic engagement, right? We're all here as part of this community, and we do our best to kind of future cast what we believe is needed, but there's nothing better than direct feedback. Ask for the love you want. So if there's something that you want us to know or want to know about or want feedback on, pop it in the chat and we can communicate around it. We would love to hear from you. So just to tie out the last thought here, Zach, as it relates to this, the non-client database or that future client database, elevate the expectation you have for your business, and then get in front of those clients that don't even know that they need you yet. That's really the intent of that process.
Yeah, I love that. And, a lot of really good, tactics there and strategies there. And, I think as you look out, in your community and your network and you're trying to shake loose, more conversations, more opportunities, part of what you need to remember is being consistent. There's a lot of content, there's a lot of information, a lot of noise going on. So when you're trying to engage a new audience, when you're trying to drive new relationships, focus on the long term, focus on being consistent. I'm going to bring up a couple of ad examples because, forgive me, but the marketer in me likes to focus and likes to share just specific strategy topics, but I've got a couple of ads that I wanted to share with you guys. So you guys can just see from a quantitative, from a specific standpoint, what are some good creatives that you guys can be using on social. So, when you're thinking of you want to grow this network and you want to grow this database and the people that, you're talking to and trying to find is, what we've discovered and what we've determined is, all ads need to be entertaining. They need to be educational, engaging, content that delivers value. One thing I always like to use this reference. A couple of years ago, there was this fire festival. I'm not sure how many of you guys heard of the Fire Festival, but it was the greatest festival that never happened. And the reason that it just gained so much traction and went viral online is because all these influencers they posted just an orange block. It was just an orange block that was showing up in everyone's newsfeed. And, what it did is it captured attention. It captured eyeballs. There was not a lot of, there was no information other than that, it was Kendall Jenner sharing a picture of an orange, a photo on Instagram. But the point that I'm trying to make is when you're creating an ad, think about what stops you when you're in your newsfeed. It's something that draws your eyes, draws attention. It's when you're using, what we've found is videos are a lot more, significantly more effective from a lead conversion standpoint, because it allows you or an influencer, a past client to tell your story. But it also, it's about something where, when you're being relatable, when you speak to a story and you're able to solve a problem. Part of ads on social is that when you're competing, you're competing with you are competing with tons of different, organizations, tons of different, people who are sharing stuff in their newsfeed. So you have a microsecond to capture their attention. We've been testing out some different ad strategies, and what we've seen is, when you're using video, incorporate some emojis, incorporate, like what's the step that you're looking for people to take. We've been running an ad specific to, influencers for, our audience, and running a video that Barry put together for us. And what we're seeing is that, it's when you share and you create good content. Here's another example of one of our partners. What Barry Crevoy, he's a veteran, and his concept is about focusing on, how he's adding value and using, using social to be consistent in front of his audience. When you guys are trying to, like, when you're thinking of, okay, what video, what message am I going to create? Like, the first step I would take is, look at the art of homeownership, look at the value, the tools that you're providing your audience, and then create a video that just tells that story. Create a video on, relocation technology, on pre-sale renovation, create a video on, the home concierge platform. You need to, when you're trying to grow this database and you're trying to drive more engagement, really what you need to be consistent in front of these folks. And what I would challenge, anyone on this call, create a video that just talks about the product, send it over to me. I'll give you some feedback. I can give you a guidebook on how to create these ads, and from a tactical standpoint, how to connect them into daily AI. We're going to do a training on, and how to drive these leads. But I just think that it's so extremely important that you guys are leveraging social to tell your story, and most importantly, be consistent. I know when Megan Anderson was on last month, part of what she was talking about from a social standpoint was, is be realistic with yourself. If you can commit to 2 pieces of content a week, commit to that and be accountable. Our partners that we're finding that are having the most success on social, they are, they're just consistent. They're no different than you or I. They put their pants on one leg at a time, deodorant under both arms. The only thing that makes them successful on social is just the consistency behind what they're doing. And back to the topic of, how you're going to grow this database. I mean, it comes down to creating these sorts of raving fans, and you're doing that by, the art of homeownership and the systems and the tools that your partners are receiving. But I just think that, you really need to think of social, think of Facebook, and more so spend some time thinking through LinkedIn. The channel on LinkedIn and the news feed, and how you can share stories and run leads there. There's just a big opportunity. Another thing you could do is for all your clients on, all your partners that you've added on social, you can set up reminders as they're posting things, or notifications for when they post things, so that you can engage in their content. It's just, there's a lot of ability by just, adding an additional 10-15 minutes of prospecting a day into social that can elevate what you're doing there. I mean, Danny, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I really like the this idea of really communicating through your network, and being really open to adopting people into your art of homeownership database that that you haven't helped before, or that again may not even be looking to transact in real estate or mortgage anytime soon, or at least they don't know that they are. And I mean, if you think about what you as a financial services professional have to offer, it is a powerful gift to your future clients to educate them and provide them with insight that will guide their decision-making process. People are scared, right? They're afraid of making a bad decision. I get, dozens, and I'm sure all of you on this call, dozens of calls, conversations per week about, is this the right time to buy, right? Are we in a bubble? Like, oh, interest rates went up. Should I still be buying even though my rate went up 0.5%, right? Is that going to cause prices to drop? There's just a tremendous amount of anxiety in the market, and people need guidance, and they need help. And that's exactly what we as a community are committed to providing to them. And I want to offer a construct to reinforce this idea that what you do matters, and it's very special, to a special gift that you can provide to your current and future clients. So information is everywhere, right? There, you can't, if you want to learn about, like, search right now, are we in a real estate bubble? You're going to find thousands of articles that say we are, thousands that say that we are not, right? Depending on what submarket you're in, or, which, perspective the author is looking, or what agenda the author had when they put that together. It's our job to take all of that information and distill it down into insight. So what insight is taking all the information and actually telling a client, well, of everything that's out there, this is actually what matters to you, right? In our submarket, we are or are not in a bubble. I'm using this as an avatar example, or in your specific case, it is or is not right to purchase, even if interest rates have gone up 1%, and here's why. So we provide insight from all that information. And then more importantly, we go one step further and we provide advice from our expert opinion and our extensive experience as professionals, and from all of those families that have been served by us in this community in the past. We can, with authority and as a fiduciary responsibility, advise that family as to what they should be doing with all of that insight that you were able to distill for them. This is a very, very powerful thing, and you're uniquely suited to offer this. So to not want to go out and invite everyone into your network is doing that group that would be in your database getting this insight from you a huge disservice. So your friends, family, friends of the family, right, that we have listed here, all of those people need to hear about what you do and why you do it and why it's important to them and how it can add value to them, so that they feel extraordinarily safe bringing people into that community and allowing you and your team to then provide that insight to them. So this isn't about burdening people, because I hear that a lot too. It's like, oh, I don't want to sell anybody anything, right? Well, you're not selling them. There's no charge to be part of this community. There's no charge for them to get the Wealth Digest, not to them, right? You're sponsoring this opportunity for them. So it's really, again, think of this advice and insight as a gift that you can provide to these individuals that are not yet in your network. And any idea that you have in your head right now of it being a burden to go out and promote the fact that these people should be part of that network, it should be actually the opposite. It should be a sacred duty for you to get as many of them as possible, because the alternative is somebody's going to tell them, click button, get mortgage. And when they do that, they're setting themselves up for potentially decades of pain. Anything you want to add to that, Zach?
No, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head there, just about, just the planning and that's, the strategy behind that. I wanted to bring up this next slide that I just thought was such, from a tactical standpoint, is so important. It's the reminder to ask for referrals, and the reminder to, when you're working with a client, allow them to bring another friend that they have onto the platform and deliver the value that this platform has to offer. I think the more people that you can put under plant a flag in their home and help them manage their mortgage, that's where you're going to see these referrals. And I think it's that mindset of, depending on the clients you work with, if you have like a first-time home buyer, ask them, who of their friends are looking to buy a home, who could use assistance with the guidance, who of your friends have recently purchased a home but aren't sure what next steps look like. Maybe you have, you have a homeowner who, their parents are going to be, looking to downsize or maybe move closer to them, because they have kids. Like I use my example is, my wife just gave birth to our first child, and my mom is coming down like every other weekend. And it's like, Mom, why don't you just move down here? There's literally nothing keeping you in Valencia anymore. And it's the only reason she stays there is because their home's there. So it's like, how many people do you know in your audience, that just had a baby, that, there's a situation like that that's out there. And part of this is, when you incorporate these conversations into the transaction in a natural process, it just becomes so, it becomes so natural and it's so value driven that people really think, yeah, who else can they help? I'll never forget, like, I think this is like 5-6 years ago, uh, you know, when Ryan helped me close on our first place. I got a call from Ryan after, just thanking me for the opportunity to work together, and one of the questions he asked me was like, who else do you know that I can help them with the dream of home ownership and the process of buying a home, and who else can I educate? And it was like, you're right, I do know a couple of people, and it made me think that it's your clients. I mean, everyone has their own sphere of network, or sphere of influence, and how you can attach onto that sphere. It's going to help generate referrals, and especially those first 90 days after a transaction closes, where that homeowner just posted a picture in front of their home, and they're like, just bought this first home. They're telling their world that they are now homeowners. That's one of the first things that you see so many people do, is share that first picture or something related to that new home that they bought. And I think when you're asking your clients and you set up a process that of how you're asking who else you can help, it's just there's just natural referrals that can come from that. And I think when you have that mindset of helping and being a resource and educating, and you're doing that sort of conversation throughout the transaction, you're going to see people that they really become sales reps and promoters, raving fans for your business. What are you thinking there, Danny?
I think it's important to recognize the power of creating a community that you are, one of the key partners in. Humans are very tribal, and we enjoy and feel safe when we're part of groups, especially when those groups have, specific ways in which they add value to our lives, right? And protect us from danger, or, add value to us in some way. And so the idea of expanding your tribe and using the Art of Homeownership message as a conduit to collect people, again, I'm using the term, the people that believe what you believe, right? They want and need what you have to offer. That it's our responsibility to be gathering those people up, because we have information that will help them and protect them. And if we know they need it, again, it's our responsibility to get on it and find them. But just to get tactical with it, when you have the tribe built and people are like, this note, consumers that are acquired through referral have 30% higher retention rate, right? There's a reason behind that. It's because there's weight that comes with the tribal currency of a referral, right? So if Zach refers me to Ryan, right? Zach, I'm now responsible to, Zach's responsible to me, I'm responsible to him. If I have meet Zach for drinks 5 months later and he says, oh, how'd it go with Ryan? And I go, oh, shoot, I ended up using somebody else, right? There's pain that happens, and maybe there's a tribal currency that's lost, right? Between Zach and I, right? One, because, he trusted that Ryan enough that he thought I was, going to be able to use him. And two, because, he put his credibility out there, for that. So there's another element at play here when you're creating tribalism, and when people are getting referred in that way, you should expect them to understand your value proposition better, because there was a promoter that transferred trust in you before you even got in front of that person. And they set the expectation around what your offering is and how your offering is superior to that of other financial services professionals in your space. And this is where the magic starts to happen, right? There's a reason why Apple users pay 50% more for the functionality of a computer or a phone or what, fill in the blank device, right? It's because they feel part of a community, and they feel seen by that community when they become a member of it. And that's something that Art of Homeownership is uniquely suited to do for your business, and why it's so urgent for all of us as we move into an environment where it's harder and harder for our voice to be heard over the noise, to have a very clearly articulated value proposition that's promoted organically by that community that you have created.
Yeah, I love that. I think there's a lot of really good nuggets in that piece. And the last thing we want to talk about today is really just the mindset shift. And Danny, to tee this up, this one up for you again, if you kind of tag to start, is just abundance versus scarcity, and how as a mortgage professional, how you need to where we're at in the market today and where we see the market going, and how you're going to separate yourself in this in today's market. How would you focus your mindset, and how would you focus on shifting what your thoughts are today, and where they were yesterday and where they're headed tomorrow? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, this is one of my favorite topics, and I know we only have about 15 minutes left, so I'll try to keep it brief. And actually, I think I'm going to take it in a direction that I normally don't with this topic, but abundance versus scarcity, which is one of self-reflection and recognition, right? So this part of the Wednesday webinars is all about kind of getting ourselves in the right place to be operating at our highest and best, for our customers, for our teams, for our family. So what I would invite this group to do is recognizing the time where we react with scarcity. And I do it. I believe that all people do it. We have those moments in time where, we're in pain and we think that, well, how did I get here? And that pain changes how we might approach our next opportunity. Like, so for example, let's say you were getting beat up over price, or your client was grinding you down on the, listing commission or buying commission, on a real estate transaction. And it's very easy to kind of look outside and go like, oh, there's all of these things outside that are affecting my ability, that are causing the customers to, come and it's the ad that they saw online, or it's the, person down the street that is doing cutting their rates down to the, basement and trying to grab market share. And it's all happening outside of me, right? What I would invite everybody to do is, in those moments where we feel victimized, that we just look and see like, where does our responsibility lie? What could I have done differently, either before, during, or after, to have prevented myself from experiencing that pain? And I think the reason I tie that into this topic of abundance versus scarcity, Zach, is I think that that the abundance comes from inside of us, right? It's not something that comes outside. And the same thing with the scarcity, right? Like when we talk about mindset, it's your mind that you're looking to master. And it's the emotions that come up from an abundance and scarcity mindset. And then those emotions that lead to actions and activity that will influence whether or not we're successful long-term in kind of reaching our peak performance. So to just kind of talk about this as it relates to the slide, right? I would venture to guess that the people that are, watching this today, either in a recorded video or on live, have less than a 1% market share, meaning 99% or more of the business. And it could be, even if you actually looked in your market, you have less than a 0.1% market share. And so when it comes to abundance versus scarcity, and that's first topic, there's enough to go around, right? If you're only capturing 1/100th of the business, meaning 99 of every 100 people that transact are transacting outside of your walls, then I promise you that there is plenty to go around, right? There's not, and I also guarantee that there's no one individual or event that's preventing you from having 100% market share. It's a broad number and spectrum of things. So just recognizing the fact that each event is itself, individual and unique, right? That time where somebody comes and I had it happen to me just last week, where was 4 weeks into a refinance for a client and literally ready to get docs out. And they came with a letter from their money center bank that currently had their mortgage, and they dropped their interest rate by 0.5%. No questions asked. They basically just did, they essentially renegotiated their rate down post origination. They'd been in that with that servicer for 2 years. It really, in the moment, kind of threw me for a loop, right? However, what ultimately ended up happening was that person still ended up moving forward with our team because of all the value that we added to them in the past. So that event could have absolutely thrown me into a tailspin of scarcity and this belief that, these big players in the market are coming and, going to be able to, eat our lunch because they have, the means to, cut interest rates by 0.5%. However, ultimately our ability to add value and commit to a long-term advice and value adding commitment was enough to keep that person around, because that's what they really wanted. And I think that's where us knowing that, because we're looking to add value to these communities, right? Not just on a transactional basis, that people, and that's really what people want. They want to have relationships, right? We're, like I said, a tribal and a social species, that we can overcome these headwinds that either are present or could be present in the future by just having this idea of service and giving constantly. Anything you'd like to add to that, Zach?
No, I mean, I think you, like everything you talked about there was just so on point. I'm just a big believer in just the mindset of just getting, it's focusing on what's in front of you, how you can help as many people, how you can deliver as much value, and just, whatever you're good at and how you're being consistent with that flow. Just stick to it. And I think, how you're incorporating the art of home ownership into your business is the more you talk about it, the more comfortable you're going to be introducing it into, different steps of that process. And I think as long as you focus, you focus on help, education, being a mortgage advisor, and advising your clients on best needs, the mindset around how you're going to help people and what goes around comes around is it's gonna rain in on you there. And especially as we see rates have gone up and there's a lot of people scratching their heads on what they're going to do. You guys have a plan. You guys as art of home ownership professionals, you guys have a standardized system to be able to separate yourselves. So have that mindset and focus on helping others. And I think when you do that, your business is going to grow and you're going to be able to drive more results from that.
And so team, to net this out in the last couple of minutes, and again, we'd love to see some questions come over. Thanks, Mike, for shooting one about the Facebook ads. So just to kind of net out what we covered today, today's topic was really about adopting people into your system, into your art of home ownership community that, as this says, that who aren't beneficial to you currently, right? That are not, maybe in that immediate window of time where you typically engage with somebody that's already raised their hand and said, look, I want to refinance or I want to purchase a home, whatever, typical business that you're in. And really getting, there's a concept in marketing called up funneling. Right. So the idea is, you have your lead funnel and, typically you engage, let's say at this level, when the referral comes in and they're ready to transact. The idea of this art of homeownership adoption is that we're actually moving farther up in the funnel where that the mouth of the funnel is wider, which gives you more opportunity to engage with clients over a long period of time with consistency. And when they finally are ready to transact, your likelihood of having added enough debt value to that person to have earned their business is much greater. And Zach's strong suggestion is, and this is from experience, is that the process by which you advertise your openness to adopting new clients into your community, future clients, let's call it, into your community, is through social.
Yeah, exactly. And, at the end of the day, using social is just about being consistent. The people who are the best on social, they're just consistent with their delivery and consistent with their messaging. And What I would challenge you guys to do is just to take action. Don't think about it. Don't get in your head. Don't worry if you sound or look perfect on video. Just focus on the message you're delivering. Be consistent with that approach. And that's where you're really going to see great opportunities, rain in from it. And part of the concept too, is within Daily AI, how you can use multimedia to be able to deliver videos through email and text. Is that video you're going to push out on social. We can also dual purpose that, which leads me into the plug for next week's reminder that Daily AI, we're going to be doing an in-depth training over these next 2 weeks. So next week, make sure that you guys are joining us just for, systems, how to best utilize the platform. Week 2 on Daily AI, I'm going to dive deep into, tactical strategies of how you build drip campaigns, how you can integrate your LOS, how you set up milestone triggers and using Zapier to drive your leads into the environment. But we really are putting a great deal of emphasis on just the coaching, training, and developing all of you on all things Daily AI, and this being a platform you could run your business off of. So make sure you save the time and invite anyone on your team that you want working in the Daily AI CRM environment, and join us next week. And we're excited to start diving deeper into that strategy. And Danny, anything else you want to add there?
Yeah, so one is I similar to you, Zach, I couldn't be more excited about the evolution of Daily AI and what it's going to mean for our partners and their ability to engage with their audiences. It's very, it's an evolving platform, one that's maturing every day, but just even at its current state, very, very powerful tool for, helping you convert leads and manage those leads. So I'm really stoked about the next 2-week sessions where we can kind of dig deep on that. But unless we have any other questions, which I haven't seen any pop into the chat, I do want to leave everyone with one thought here that I think can really emphasize what you just said, Zach, about, don't, just get started, right? Don't worry if it's perfect. I want to share and this is a deeply held belief that I have about this group. Every single one of you is special. We've intentionally made this an exclusive community where inside of your market, we've restricted access to the Art of Home Ownership platform. So by design, Art of Homeownership is restricted to only a few people in each market center. And then beyond that, right? So that's the hard ceiling, but beyond that, there's a limited number of people, and we all know this, a limited number of people that are willing to invest in themselves and invest in their business in the way that the Art of Homeownership community does. So I want to leave you with this thought. You are absolutely unique in your market, and you have a very powerful message and a very powerful value proposition that you should be bringing to your community. And even if it means you just have to jump on and do a quick selfie talking about how you just saw a client win, right? And I'll keep going back to this story about the tuition for college, right? That's such an emotional thing, right? Like new parents, I mean, Zach, you're probably experiencing this now, right? New parents, they start researching 529 plans to figure out how the heck am I going to do this, right? How am I going to be a good dad or a good mom and set my child up for success for the future? And it turns out that family was served through great advice by a financial services professional inside of real estate or mortgage, because there was a asset there that they maybe didn't recognize that they could use to fulfill an even and more deeply rooted dream than even the dream of home ownership, which is, being a great parent, right? And being able to provide that support. So again, what you do is special. Who we are together as a community is special. And we don't just have the right, but the responsibility to put that message out to others so that they can join us and be served by this community.
I love it. And that was great stuff there. And we really appreciate everyone joining us today. And if there's ever anything we could do to support you guys, reach out. We're here to help your guys' business grow. And we look forward to seeing you next week on the Daily AI training webinar, and appreciate everyone's time. Thanks, Danny. Thanks, Val, for helping set this up. And we'll see you guys next week.
Cheers.
Take care.